everyone, welcome to this video. On my channel, I analyze song lyrics very in depth through the lens of literary analysis. However, today we're analyzing a music video. Lana Del Rey just released her music video for the song Blue Banisters. If you want to know a little bit more about how I interpreted the words and the mindset I have towards this song, make sure you check out my lyric analysis of Blue Banisters. I'll go ahead and link it down below for you. I started to discuss this music video on my Instagram story. Make sure to follow me on my socials. But then I realized that my Virgo rising energy was too strong and there were too many details that I wanted to talk about. So here we are. As a quick disclaimer, everything presented in this video is my own personal opinion. Art is very subjective. That's why it's such a beautiful thing. I always encourage you all to tell me what your opinion is down below. Really briefly, some main points from my lyric analysis. I personally view Blue Banisters as a song about trying to move forward from a relationship. It's a relationship where you really depended on the other person to heal you and to heal your soul. I view the banisters as an extension or a reflection of the protagonist's emotional state. Protagonist means the main character. We can assume it's Lana, but we don't know for sure, so I will just keep saying protagonist. But I view the banisters as being representative of her emotional state. When it's blue, it means the protagonist is sad. When it's gray, there's a progression, emotional gray area. And then when it's green, I interpret that as being lively and positive because green is the color that we associate with nature. I also interpreted the act of painting as her friends coming and existing with her in her sadness, because when you paint something, you're creating more of that thing, so you're not getting rid of the blue sadness, but you are painting it. In a nutshell, that's how I thought about the song. Again, for more detail and more in-depth explanation, go and watch my video and read the comments too, because a lot of people had different viewpoints. They're all valid and they all make sense, so go check out the comments on that video too. Some good stuff there. So there is a filter placed on this music video. I'm not an expert in film or anything, but in my opinion, this is a gray filter that was put on the music video. And this is literally the most significant thing ever, and I'm gonna tell you why. I built up to this a lot more in my lyric analysis, but the color gray is very important. It's like the transition color. It's the point in Blue Banisters where there was a shift for the protagonist, a shift in her emotional state, because she was no longer painting the banisters blue. Her friends tried to paint it green, but she was not at a place emotionally to accept the green or to acknowledge or interpret the green, but she was able to interpret gray. So this is a very positive thing in the context of this song. To me, the color gray is showing us that the protagonist is still kind of in a gray area, but in a positive way. She's in transit. She is still in the process of healing. This whole music video and this whole song is about the protagonist while she is in the midst of healing. She is still going through it, right? So for me, it's very fitting to have a gray filter over this entire music video because it's showing us the protagonist as she is going through this healing process. And of course, this also makes the video look a little nostalgic. It looks like everything is a memory. It makes it dreamy in a specific way, in a very grounded way. And it makes the weather look gloomy, but in a cozy way. Again, I feel very stable from this music video. In a lot of Lana's songs, I talk about instability and unbalance. I'm thinking specifically of Summertime Sadness and Chemtrails Over the Country Club. That's how I am thinking about this filter. Please comment down below what your thoughts are. I think this is a very nice touch, and I think it's metaphorically very important. I really love how the picture in the frame becomes alive. It really takes us into the protagonist's memory. It suggests that she remembers posing for that picture and taking that picture. What's kind of haunting to me a little bit is that while she was posing for this picture, she didn't know what was to come. This song really talks about the very deep emotional turmoil that the protagonist experienced as a result of the breakup. When she was posing for this picture on that tractor. She didn't know that she was going to be in so much pain as a result of this relationship ending. It kind of gives a feeling of innocence to seeing her like pose for the picture, because it was like the calm before the emotional storm. Also, this isn't that important, but her dress is so cute. Like, I love the color and the neckline. Like, everyone's outfit, all the dresses are so cute. Just saying. This is also the dress she wears on her album cover for Blue Banisters. And look, there is a literal banister right behind her, although it's not blue. It makes me think that maybe these album cover pictures were taken the same day that this music video was shot. Regardless, I am in love with all the dresses in this music video. I'm going to keep saying that over and over again. Where did they buy them from? I want all of them. Also, I find it interesting and very emotional. Like, I have mixed feelings about this, that the dress that she's wearing on the album cover is the dress that is associated with the John Deere picture. This music video is aligning this dress, this look, with what the protagonist, what Lana looked like when that John Deere picture was taken. So it's like that memory of that dress is now the album cover, and she's wearing that dress in front of the banisters. I find that very interesting. Again, this could totally not even be significant. It could just be random. It could just be a cute dress. But I always say this, the purpose of this channel is literally to analyze things, and this did stick out to me. If this was intentional, you could view it as her kind of like reclaiming that dress. Maybe this dress is from a picture that brings her a lot of pain and she wants to reclaim it because it's cute, or not. I don't know, but I find it interesting. I'm definitely gonna think about this a little bit more. Please let me know if you have any thoughts about this down below in the comments. I love the thumbs up sign that she does, signaling to the cameraman. I'm assuming that was her former romantic partner, that she's ready for her picture to be taken. I love seeing people just being candid and natural. I feel like in this music video, there are a lot of shots of Lana and her friends just existing without posing. Of course, they're like mindful of the camera, but they're not always like smiling or putting on a show. This music video does have a very like calm vibe, but there is an undercurrent of sadness. However, it feels stable. I'm going to talk about this more as we get into the music video, but I feel very calm and stable when I look at this music video and when I view the aesthetics. The sadness here to me feels more balanced. The sadness in the lyrics, when I analyzed it, made me very, very concerned for the protagonist, and I still am because it's the same lyrics, but the way it's being represented here shows me that the protagonist has kind of accepted the sadness that came from her relationship ending. She kind of accepted that sadness with like a gentle resolve, and she's very gracefully trying to get through it. I want to know your opinion about what I'm about to say. The part of the video where Lana is smiling and then her smile fades, and then she's like talking to the camera person, like her former love interest, I'm assuming. She's not mouthing the words, so she's having a conversation with her ex, right? She doesn't look happy. She looks a little bit like frustrated and perhaps annoyed at something. There's different ways you can look at this. You can think about this as a foreshadow of what's to come. Perhaps, you know, they were having issues and she's posing for the picture on that tractor, on that John Deere, but then the second like that photo is snapped, it's probably on a phone. I don't know why I'm like doing this. I'm trying to show what it's like when you take a picture on an iPhone. Okay, whatever. As soon as the picture is taken, she kind of let go of that like smiling face, and she was saying something to her ex and she looked a little bit frustrated. It's kind of like pulling back the veil a little bit. This kind of changes a little bit of my interpretation. This is very heartbreaking. When I interpreted the lyrics alone, I talked about how that picture is a reminder of her relationship and how it's interesting that she's keeping it on her wall where it can always be seen. And I assumed that that picture would remind her of, you know, the love she had and like the great times. But here, since she's kind of like pulling back the veil for us a little bit, maybe when she looks at that picture, she remembers her kind of like being annoyed or being frustrated. Maybe that picture is like the first crack in that relationship. Maybe that little few second clip where she kind of breaks her smile and says something to the camera guy, to her ex, maybe that's a little foreshadow of what's to come. And maybe this picture isn't a reminder of the good times. Maybe it's a reminder of when they weren't having a good day. There's a lot of things you can extrapolate from this. You know, just because you see someone smiling in a picture doesn't mean that they are smiling in real life. It doesn't mean that their soul or their heart is smiling, right? Everything can be fake. You can also think of this part as not being that deep. It can just be a natural thing. You get annoyed at people you love, and it doesn't mean that you're like having problems, right? In my lyric analysis, we talked a lot about the deep emotional healing that the protagonist needed after this breakup, about how her soul needed healing. So for me, I'm thinking about that little annoyed look on her face as a foreshadow. You can look at it as not being that deep. Up to you. I want to share another perspective I have about the Lana in the yellow dress, the Lana from the John Deere picture. Please comment down below what your thoughts are. I'd be interested for your take. Okay, so I do think that the Lana in the yellow dress is meant to represent a past version of Lana, or the protagonist, while she was taking that picture, while she was still in that relationship, right? So when we see her posing for that picture, this is really us going back in time. However, there are a few instances where she is on the John Deere in that yellow dress and she's looking at the camera in a very melancholy, wistful way. And to me, she is looking at the camera in a knowing way, like she's already experienced all that happened. So in those instances, I view the protagonist as being a present day protagonist, but revisiting that memory. She is revisiting the memory so deeply that she's in that dress again. She's back in that memory. It's kind of like Harry Potter when Dumbledore, what was it called? The pensieve, when Dumbledore were able to literally go back into the memory and it was like they were there. I don't think their outfits changed, but if their outfits changed, that's what I'm talking about here. It's like she's back in that memory, but as the present day protagonist. She's back in that same dress, back on that same tractor, but she's there with an understanding because she's already experienced the breakup. That's what is resonating with me. Let me know your thoughts down below. So she's with her friends. I believe her sister is also in this video. They're painting the banisters gray. For some reason, I always thought that the banisters were like inside, right next to the foyer or whatever. And she would have like, I don't know, blankets down while she's painting inside. I don't know why I thought that was the type of banister we were talking about, but this is an outdoor banister, which makes a lot more sense. Like logistically, it's a much easier cleanup. But here we see them painting the banisters gray. Notice that they were not painted blue beforehand. I always assumed that the banisters were already blue, representing her sadness, and they were painting over the blue with gray. But here it looks like they're just painting it gray. So I find that to be very interesting. The color gray I'm interpreting as kind of like a gray area. The emotions are still muddled. They're not happy or healed yet, but they're in transit. They're in transition right now. So I interpreted the color gray as positive in this song because it's no longer blue, right? She's changing, she's healing. And again, her friends are with her while she's doing this, so she has a lot of support. In my lyric analysis, I talked about how painting means that they're simply existing with her in her sadness while she figures things out. They're not trying to like push her to get better before she's ready, which I really respect. I feel like that's represented in the music video, you know? Everything's very calm. They're all leisurely painting together, existing in this moment together. No one's like pushing anyone. It's all very like calm and chill. You see Lana smiling as she does this, so I would assume she feels supported by her friends, and I would assume that this activity of painting is beneficial for her. And when I say beneficial, I mean like metaphorically beneficial. The fact that they're painting their feet, it could just be cute and fun. It doesn't have to be symbolical, but if you want to view it in a more symbolic way, you stand with your feet, so your feet can represent feeling grounded. Now the color gray is being associated with a feeling of being grounded, so perhaps having her friends around her makes her feel grounded. That's one way to view it, if you'd like. Then we have a shot of something that's similar to a weather vane. A weather vane usually has like the rooster on top. chillin' there. We'll have a shot of it later. In my lyric analysis, I talked about how the weather vane is reflective of the protagonist's intuition, because the weather vane can tell you which direction the wind is coming from. It can tell you if it's like stormy or not. And metaphorically, I believe that it's very important to be aware of weather patterns because they are reflective of an internal state. So if a storm is coming, it's like an emotional storm is coming. You're intuitively ready for the storm to come, right? In the lyrics, her weather vane is broken. So I interpreted that as her intuition not working. And then I discussed how your intuition is part of your soul, which is to me like the purest innermost part of your being. I talked more about what a soul is in my Blue Banisters lyric analysis and also in the song Ivy and Coney Island, both by Taylor Swift. So I will link those down below if you want to hear me talk more about what a soul means. But I do view the weather vane as being reflective of her soul. In the lyrics here, the weather vane is broken, so her soul is hurt. And you know, your soul is different from your heart. Your heart I would associate with love, platonic or romantic, but your soul is like your identity. So the fact that her weather vane was broken to me showed that the innermost part of her identity was broken. So this symbolism here of the weather vane is very, very important. In this shot, the weather vane like object is existing in sunny weather, but then later on in this video, it's going to be existing in stormy weather. And I'll discuss that more when we get to it. Here, it's not broken. It looks like it's functioning pretty well. So that's good. I love the shots of her with her friends. I think they're very beautiful. I love how they're simply just existing next to one another. They're not putting on a show. And it makes me feel so calm. It gives me that feeling of time moving forward at the appropriate speed. Not too fast, not too slow. It's just you feel in the moment. That's what these shots of her and her friends remind me of. Even later on when she's like baking a cake, it really feels like everyone is in the present moment. Here they're all looking out into the distance and there's a lot of wind. I think the wind present all throughout this music video is important in the context of the weather vane because the wind is going to cause the weather vane to move. The weather vane is an indicator to the protagonist that strong winds are coming, maybe a storm is coming. Again, the weather vane is not broken in this music video, so the protagonist is aware of the winds coming. Right? I know she's outside, so she literally feels the wind, but I'm talking metaphorically. I personally am interpreting these winds as winds of change coming. Maybe there's a storm coming. Maybe it's going to be a strong rainstorm. Rain would bring forth water imagery. Water imagery is usually very, very positive. A rainstorm would clear everything out. It would cleanse everything. So that would be something positive as well. So I view these winds as, you know, being a little intense maybe. You can definitely tell that it's windy, but I view them as a positive thing. I love that they're all looking out toward the wind. It shows us that the protagonist is not going to be alone going through whatever these winds are going to bring her. And the fact that her friends are looking out towards the wind shows us that her friends have an awareness of what the protagonist is going through. Again, I'm interpreting the winds here metaphorically, so her friends are aware of her emotional state. That's what the wind is like representing to me. She looks so worried in that shot. It's like very brief. I love the little glimpses we have of her true emotional state. I think it's very natural and healthy to feel your feelings. So I appreciate that, you know, we kind of see what she's feeling. To me, this shows us that even though she's with her friends, even though she seems to be okay, she is still in the process of healing. It's not gonna happen by a snap of a finger. It's something that takes time. The fact that she looks worried in the context of the wind suggests to me that maybe she kind of has a feeling of what's to come, of the emotional wind storm that's on the way. So I think she kind of feels what's coming. Perhaps she knows she has to go through it. She's like ready for it. She has her support system with her, but there is still that bit of worry that we see. I think it's a very beautiful moment. And the fact that she's looking straight at the camera makes it very vulnerable. I really appreciate that. When she turns around and smiles, it's because she's looking at her friend. Her support system is very, very important. It's really interesting how she's surrounded by her friends, but she did have that one solitary moment of fear or anticipation. But since she has people around her, she was able to snap out of it. I find that very beautiful. Y'all, literally look, all of their outfits are so cute. They're so cute. I am much more attentive when I analyze words because when I watch movies, I'm that person. I literally don't care about the plot. I just look at people's outfits and like the color of their lip gloss and what vibes they connote and what mood they connote. I believe her sister Chucky is right behind her. She was pregnant in the lyrics of Blue Banisters. She did give birth already. I want to say thank you to everyone in the comments of my Blue Banisters lyric analysis who told me who Chucky was and who Tex and Mex were. I did not know that they were her dogs. Still learning a little bit more about Lana's personal life. I became a fan when NFR came out, so I'm still learning a little bit more about her personal life, and I've started to listen to some ultraviolence songs. I wonder what that means. I don't know. I want to talk really briefly about the color of her dress. It is green, which is very important. I talked about the color green in my lyric analysis of Blue Banisters. I view the color green as representing her healing because green is associated with nature and nature is very lively. So I love how she's wearing a green dress in a music video that has a gray filter where she's painting banisters gray. This to me is a very positive image. It shows me that she's really, really close to painting her own banisters green. It's also just very cute. This shot is very beautiful. I really like how this is what we're seeing while she's singing about her former love still being in her mind, still shining for her, because that shows us that she's still not over it. The Lana we see here, the Lana on the John Deere, is the Lana from the picture, right? A picture is like a memento of the past. I just love how we're seeing this John Deere picture Lana while she's singing about how she's not over this yet. She's singing about how sometimes in her darkest nights, her ex is still shining for her, right? It's like the Lana in the picture is singing that. I love that so much. Then we have the weathervane. This is the rooster version. It's working, it's not broken. One thing that could be significant is how the camera pans from the area of the sky where there's a thunderstorm to an area of the sky where there is sunlight. Perhaps this is a positive foreshadow that things are going to turn out okay in the end, especially because the sunlight is adjacent to and associated with the weathervane. We do see some lightning, so maybe that wind brought some thunder clouds over. However, the weather vane is not going crazy, it's not broken. So to me, this is a positive thing. Okay, do you remember a few seconds ago where I was like, oh my gosh, look, there's a thunderstorm and then there's the sun? That's literally not a thunderstorm. That's literally heat lightning from the lyric in this song. So here I present to you a clip from my Blue Banisters literary analysis where I define heat lightning and I interpret it in a metaphorical way. Again, there's timestamps below. I think this is going to be a little bit of a longer clip, but I had a lot to say about heat lightning, okay? It's heat lightning. Heat lightning is also known as silent lightning. Heat lightning is lightning generated by a thunderstorm so distant that its light outruns the slower moving sound waves from the storm. So it's like a thunderstorm without sound. You only see the light. Every source I looked at says that heat lightning is actually a myth, but we will still be operating off of its definition for the purposes of this song. In actuality, all lightning produces thunder, but when people think that it's heat lightning, it's due to the distance that the storm is at. They cannot hear the crash of the thunder. That is very significant in this context. There was a reference to thunder in the song Mariner's Apartment Complex. I'll link my analysis down below for you. In that context, Lana was aligning herself with thunder as someone powerful, so it was used in a very different way. Here, I am interpreting heat lightning as a very somber and sad sort of image. I think heat lightning here is referring to the pain that she's feeling. In a thunderstorm, we have two elements. We have lightning and we have thunder. Thunder is loud. It's angry. You can hear it anywhere you are. If you're inside, you hear it. If you're outside, you hear it. Lightning definitely puts on a show and it can be startling to witness, but you can't really see it if you're inside in an interior room. You would need to be by a window or you would need to be outside. I will say that a lightning aspect of this is much more dangerous. Lightning can strike like a tall building. A strike of lightning, if it hits a very dry area of land, it can cause a fire. It can spark a fire, right? But heat lightning doesn't have the sound. We're only left with the lightning part, the more dangerous part. Oh my God, this is so intense. So she's left with the part of the pain that is quiet, but more dangerous. Isn't that intense, y'all? Like, this is so beautiful. It's very, very sad, but this expresses how she's feeling so eloquently. She literally is left with the dangerous part of the pain, and it's the part that is quiet, so no one knows it. She is suffering in silence, and she's in danger, right? She needs to get inside and not be the tallest thing. Go into an interior room, girl. The concept of heat lightning makes me feel like you're holding your breath because you see the light and you're waiting for the sound, but it doesn't come. So she's just kind of like holding her breath emotionally, holding on to this pain. I would view like the sound from the thunder as kind of being a release of some sort, right? Her friends are trying to comfort her. It's kind of helping her a little bit. It's not really like healing her. I would say it's mostly numbing her. You know, your friends and family can only do so much. At the end of the day, you just have to give these things time. So that camera moving from the heat lightning to the sun is a lot more significant now because, as you just saw in that clip from my lyric analysis, heat lightning is representing the most dangerous part of her pain. The shift of the camera to the sunlight really shows us that the protagonist is on her way to healing. She's leaving the most dangerous part of her pain behind. This is very beautiful. It was such a quick moment in the video and it was kind of subtle, but I love it so much. This may be my favorite detail in the music video. Okay, when she uses her brush that has gray paint on it to paint the green plant, that's so interesting. That's so interesting. First of all, I hope she took the paint off of the plant because I'm sure that's not healthy for the plant. But metaphorically, I was so shook when I saw this because she's like mixing the gray with the green, and it's a positive foreshadow that she's almost ready for the green. She wore the green dress and now the gray and the green are adjacent to one another. And it also confirms for me that green is positive because it's literally a living plant. So yeah, I really enjoy that. And now we have Chucky making birthday cake like the lyric says. In my lyric analysis, I talked about how the lyrics here, where it said Tex-Mex are in the bay, Chucky's making birthday cake, chickens running bare feet, there was a baby on the way. Those are the lyrics being sung right now. And I talked about how those lyrics show the passage of time, but they show it in a positive way because there's life events happening. It's someone's birthday, someone's pregnant, there's gonna be new life soon. The barefoot lyric gives us a vibe of like earthiness and feeling grounded. In my lyric analysis, I talked about how it's important that the protagonist is acknowledging these things because a lot of times when you feel a lot of emotional turmoil, you wanna kind of isolate yourself and not really acknowledge what's going on in the outside world. The fact that she acknowledged these things in this verse was a very positive thing. I love how they are decorating the cake with care. It seems like they're really enjoying it, and I'm enjoying watching this. They're not rushing it. They've done a really good job of making time move in an appropriate way. In this music video, we're really able to appreciate the little things, right? The emotions on everyone's faces, and even baking a cake with care and choosing the garnish, which is very important. Do not overlook fruit garnishes. How did she pour the egg out of that bowl without it dripping everywhere? I don't know. I'm impressed. They're making this cake so aesthetically. They're just like, that cake looks delicious. Do you think that they made strawberry shortcake because there's a strawberry garnish, or do you think it's vanilla with strawberry garnish, or is it like angel cake? I don't know. Comment down below what flavor cake you think it is. It would be really cool if it was strawberry shortcake and they would maybe do like 2 layers and do a strawberry frosting in the middle. Yeah. Okay. I really love the camera angles and the camera movement in this music video. Again, I'm not really an expert in film, but from an emotional and metaphorical standpoint, I think it really helps set the tone. The camera angle is often moved like it's someone's perspective. It's moving in different directions like a person's head would move when they're looking around. So it's kind of like a point of view sort of perspective at times, which makes everything seem more casual and it makes what you're viewing feel more intimate. I also love how her friends have pretty decent screen time and close-ups. It's not just all about the protagonist. This is really highlighting her support system. And I also love this because it allows us to really observe and understand the emotions that everyone's feeling. You know, you have to really look at someone's face for a few good seconds to be able to observe what they're feeling and to see the nuanced emotions in their face. And again, this makes the time pass in a way that is balanced and comfortable. This music video has a very comfortable pace. Nothing is rushed. I'm pointing this out because I find that in a lot of Lana's lyrics that I've analyzed so far, there is like a progression towards unbalance, a progression towards chaos, but I get the opposite vibe from this music video, and I think that's very important. Tex and Max are her dogs. I know that now. And they're so beautiful. They're so cute. We end this music video with her and her friends painting the banisters gray, which again, I view positively. I explained that more in my lyric analysis, but the gray just means that she's moving out of the blue, the sadness, and her friends are painting alongside of her, so they're existing with her in her sadness. When she looks at the camera and she looks a little sad, that was a very striking moment in the music video for me. Whenever a character looks straight at the camera, it's kind of like an aside where they're telling you something that the other characters don't know. Here it really makes Lana, or the protagonist, seem very vulnerable. We're seeing her internal state at the moment. While she is painting the banisters, she probably has a mix of emotions. I'm sure she feels supported by her friends. I'm sure she's starting to feel better because she's no longer painting it blue. We saw her associate the paint with the green plant, so she's definitely healing, but her looking at the camera shows us that this is a process. She's still in the midst of it, right? She's still healing. She still has some of that sadness in her still. She's being vulnerable and sharing it with the audience. I love that it doesn't end on her looking at the camera that way. It ends on her still in the act of painting, which means that she's not allowing this sadness to isolate her or to make her freeze in her tracks. She's feeling it, she's acknowledging it, she's sharing that feeling with us, but then she's moving forward in her healing process by painting her banisters gray. And that's the end of the music video. Overall, I love this video a lot. Again, I feel very calm, very stable, very at ease when I watch this. I think it really brought to life a lot of the lyrics in this song, and I really love how it ended with her continuing to paint. Please let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Let me know if you agree with me or if you had a different interpretation. Make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it and to subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye!